Hello, people. Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing today? So today we're going to be talking about something a little more less controversial. So not going to get into the whole mess of everything. Today we're going to switch it up and do something different. We will be talking about the Egyptian pyramids. I feel like with so much stuff circulating on the internet, it's like no one knows when regular things are just happening,
Yeah.
right?
That's kind of weird to hear out loud, but yeah, that's pretty much
This is like when did normal things that's happening in reality become
bizarre.
such a bizarre thing that we just don't talk about? I was literally telling my friend the other day about the pyramids, and he was like, "Wait, what? Oh, that's crazy, bro." I'm like, "What? Are you shitting me? Like, do we not live on the same planet?" Smart kid, don't get me wrong. I love him to death. My boy Ray. One day we're gonna have you in here to talk about Colombia. That's gonna be a pod right there. He's done on a lot of amazing stuff. There's a few people I want to have up here. Him, Vince for sure.
I'd like to see what his
Because we're filming your car, bro. We're going to film your car. We're going to make you famous. No, but seriously. Yeah, so the pyramids. Let's talk about the pyramids. One, they still haven't figured out mathematically how they built these motherfuckers. I feel like that's a major key thing to point out.
Mm.
And let's just start off and just say I am sick and tired of the fucking notion that aliens built the pyramids. Okay? Let's just go on a record and just say fuck you to anyone that believes that. Because it's like, why can't colored people do something amazing?
Mm.
Egypt is in the middle of Africa. Is it because it's in Africa? It's just like
You think if it was in
if it was
like
in Europe,
Britain?
bro. If it was in Europe, oh my god, they were such geniuses. I can't believe they did this. This is amazing. This is amazing work. Trump will probably be talking about my heritage. Amazing work. Beautiful, beautifully done. So awesome, so great. Like it's like, come on, man. Something's done in Africa. One of the key major points of probably the cradle. Actually, Africa is not the cradle of civilization. They basically say like over in the Middle East is.
Really?
They say it's the cradle.
I was thinking South Africa was not
Nah,
South America.
no. The cradle of civilization they say is over in like the Middle East. But they
Mm.
say the beginning, the cradle and the beginning are two different things. The beginning of life
Mm.
was over in Africa.
Mm.
But either way, I think it's an amazing feat, right? With that many fucking slaves, you better create something. But I also think they were.
I don't think those slaves were. Whenever the word slave is used, I think of people that are like unintelligent or maybe like forced to do work because they don't have the knowledge to do better. And the Egyptians were smart. So to have that many people build something like that, they'd all have to be generally pretty smart.
I mean, but if you're giving direction to people,
But if you can't really give direction to somebody that doesn't have a concept of what you're talking about. So like
oh, okay, I
if
see
I
what you're
go to
saying.
like
Yeah,
a 7-year old and ask them to uh, make me a pie chart on what their favorite food is, they wouldn't really know.
yeah.
But that might be like taking it too far out of context. But like I think my point being is like if you have people that are really unintelligent and you have people that are trying to build something that are really intelligent, I don't think you'd be able to uh, transcribe what you're saying to them clear enough to make something that grand.
So they had to be somewhat
Educated.
extremely smart or educated.
Yeah, I think that they would,
I can get on board with that.
but I don't know how like they did slavery. I don't know if it was like a class thing or
I
if
think
it
it
was
was
like okay, so it wasn't.
from what it sounds like. I think it was. right? I think you had your poor Egyptians, you had your rich Egyptians. It was kind of, but it was more so like a dictatorship than anything.
Hmm.
But I mean, either way, those people built some amazing things. And I hate the fact that there are a whole series and documentaries saying, "Oh, the aliens came down and did." Well, where the fuck are they? They haven't been here since.
The Sphinx are really cool too. Like
Yeah,
they used to be plated in gold,
yeah,
which is like
yeah. I think
crazy
that's
to
pretty
think.
amazing. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I just feel like the concept that colored people or Africans or whatever, Middle Eastern or darker skinned people are so far uneducated that they're unable to build something this magnificent. I'm going to give credit to the Egyptian people and say that their ancestors were on to something beyond us. Pythagorean theorem came from ancient Egypt. It didn't come from Rome, it didn't come from Greece. It came from ancient Egypt. Like I don't understand why is that so hard to fathom? I mean, shit, let's be honest. They didn't have anything else to do back then.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of ingenuity comes from.
Yeah,
Is like
they
you
didn't
have
have
nothing else to do,
nothing else to do.
and whenever you have something that you're particularly interested in, you learn a lot about that thing
Yeah.
because you have nothing else to do.
There will be a podcast that we discuss different time periods happening at the same time because I think like when we're taught about history, we're taught about a specific point in time
In layers.
in
Yeah.
layers, and we don't actually talk about it like this is happening at the same time that this is happening.
Mhm.
Like we have to understand that the Egyptian culture has been around for so long that they taught other civilizations how to do things. Like let's be clear about that,
Mhm.
right? Like everyone says, "Oh, Christopher Columbus discovered America." I mean that yeah, the victors can write the books and say what they want, but you're telling me that there were pyramids over in Egypt, and then come to find out there's pyramids here on this land prior to Christopher Columbus. There's pyramids nowhere else. Not in Europe, not in Asia, not in Russia, not in Australia. There's literal pyramids in Africa, the United States, South America, and in North America. Like I don't know how else. It's like when evidence is in front of our face, we kind of discontinue it as if that didn't happen,
Mm.
right? But that's all concept. That's not really whatever. But the point is that these people were so magnificent that they built structures that we're still trying to identify or try to figure out how they actually did it. Now, there's different ideologies of what could have happened. Maybe the sea level or the land level was a lot higher and they built down, right?
Mm.
Or they had giants, which again existed. Like this isn't make believe. They were people that were walking around that were 9, 12, 13 feet tall.
I mean, do you think that is because of the increased levels of was it oxygen, or is it one of the
I don't know.
because like if you go back to prehistoric times, that's the reason why bugs were so large is
The
because
oxygen
it
level.
was either oxygen, nitrogen, or it was like one of the basic gases that there was an abundance of,
Yeah.
and because of that they were able to grow to exponential sizes, which is why they're not as big as they are now because those levels of whatever they were are a lot smaller now. So I could see maybe how that could translate into
Yeah.
a human
I mean,
being.
that's extremely possible. I mean, I don't know. I just know that they were some big motherfuckers back then, and they
Mhm.
probably died off. I
Pretty
mean,
fast, I'd
yeah, but
imagine.
I also do think a lot of people who derive from those type of people are here. NBA players are ridiculously huge.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're able to do the things that they do, being at the size that they are.
Yeah.
Like they're 7'6" and they weigh 340
Yeah.
pounds. That's
I think genetically they come from I think their ants if they did a lineage and they actually checked,
Mhm.
They would have to, bro.
Like,
Like
those are
I
some
don't
big
see them.
people.
Yeah, like their genetic structure is different than the average person. There is something in their DNA that's different. Shaq is not a normal person.
Yeah, yeah. Who is the Asian
Yao
NBA
Ming,
Yao Ming, yeah, Yao Ming, he is
ridiculous,
huge.
ridiculous. Could you
Um,
imagine someone back then walking around in a fucking robe? No basketball, no sports, just walking around living his life. Yeah, I would be scared of him too. What is
it's
this?
intimidating.
Yeah, what is this?
Like, even as somebody that's, like, above the average of what the height is, and I couldn't imagine being an extra 2 feet, 3 feet tall, like, that is just so.
I mean, that's another reason why I believe like certain Bible texts. Like I don't think, and this is just me. Like I think like we were just talking about this earlier. I think the Bible is a bunch of parables to help people with everyday life, to give them a structure or an ideal of what's right and what is wrong and how to deal with that situation in that moment, right? Because like even if you're not religious, you can read the Bible and see that there's different passages that touch every person. It doesn't matter if you're religious or not. There's a passage that you can read and you'll be like, "Holy shit, that relates to this situation that I'm dealing with." Everyone can have that. I don't care if you're atheist or not an atheist. Take the religion aspect out of it, take the God aspect out of it. Every period that you read will probably deal or in some concept happen in your life that you can like attach yourself to,
Mhm.
right? So like a lot of it makes sense. Well, I mean, we're not going to get into like how it was made or the geometry of how it was built, but just know that they are perfectly geometrically designed, and we cannot mimic the structure. I mean, we can mimic it, but not with the access of tools that they had.
Yeah.
Either one or two things happen. The tools that they had back then disintegrated and left this earth forever after whatever natural disaster happened,
Mm.
or they completely did it by hand and know a different type of math that we don't know.
I find it very, like, I think it was more likely to be the tools that they had,
Yeah,
which allowed them to do that instead of doing it by hand. Because, like, if you create a structure like that or multiple structures like that, everybody has to be doing the exact same thing, and
at
that's
the same moment.
impossible.
Yeah,
Unless you had them create the structure by hand and then somebody go over it later with the precision tools
yeah,
and then adjust it to whatever it needed to be, so that way it created less work for the people that were maybe a little bit more skilled in specific things
yeah.
and knew certain types of math. But I just, I've never personally seen them, but like I've seen pictures of them and read some books about them. It's like it's insane.
I mean, I personally think they were extreme, like a lot smarter than what we are today.
And the chambers inside of them are also like,
There it is.
they're looking like there are always new chambers being discovered, which is like, how could you not have found all of the chambers?
That's a good segue. That's a good segue. So basically, there was an underground city with pillars holding up the pyramids, 4,000 feet down beneath the ground, and it uncovered giant vertical shafts that wrapped in a spiral staircase. Also had massive limestone platforms containing two enormous chambers with descending channels resembling pipelines. So he'll like Braden ended up putting up a picture behind me, showing you exactly the structure that they found. But they actually found this. A group of scientists over in Italy have found. They used sonar. What they used for underground deep dive, they'll use sonar to see what's there prior to them going. Right. So they do it for a lot of wrecks. A lot of wrecks that happen if they go search for a crash site. or a ship that they can't find, or a cargo ship that ship, what they'll do instead of actually going down that far, because like you need, for one, you need a lot of money to go down there, and two, you need a lot of the instrumentation that a lot of people just don't have,
Mhm.
and three, the pressure level. I don't want to bring this up or laugh about it, but it was just like that one billionaire guy who went down there in that submarine and that fucking shit
Yeah.
popped. It popped,
And that was
right?
just because of the negligence on the
On their
owner's
end.
end, which
Yeah.
is like, you know,
Silly.
very silly
That was
because,
silly.
you know, you,
For them to be that smart and be that dumb is silly.
to cut that many corners
It's
as
insane.
you're able to create your own submarine, but you can't maintain it is just like,
And then you were talking about sending people.
I'm not going to say like
Whew.
this in light, but like, I guess the guy had enough confidence that his craft wasn't going to implode that he also went down into it. So it wasn't like completely,
That's pure ignorance.
that is just pure
That
ignorance.
sounds, it sounds, no. Let me not say
Arrogance.
arrogance. There it is.
Yeah.
It sounds like arrogance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these chambers, they were huge. So think of one of the tallest buildings in Dubai. The structure alone, it was 33 to 39 feet in diameter, 2,130 feet in depth. And it's like six of them holding up the pyramids with copper foils wrapping around them.
Mhm.
They still have no idea what it's being used for. Now, in my educated guess, I personally think the Egyptian people who were watching over these pyramids knew that shit was already there.
You mean they just built on top of the
I feel like the people had I feel like those people, the Egyptians who are over there now, already had the information that this stuff was there and kept it hidden from the public for whatever reason,
hmm,
right? Because we go over there. America has a thing about you know come up
taking
off.
over stuff?
Yeah, come up off that, bro. Wait. What you got?
Mm,
Yeah, come here. I need that. Right? Like time and time again, we see this on a regular basis. You know what I mean? America went to Afghanistan. You got oil? wait. You got heroin? I need, I need all that. Come up off that. Right. So it's like it happens, right? So I think they kept it a secret for a reason. Now, the biggest question is, what was it used for?
I have a idea,
I need to
but
hear it.
I don't know if this to me, okay,
I
so
mean, listen. We could do whatever we want at this moment because this is guessing, right? No one
yeah.
knows. No one knows what they were used for.
So my guess would be that they're trying to utilize the Earth's heat so that it's like more like a geothermal heater
Uh huh.
because copper is a really good conductor of heat.
It is.
So, I mean, I figured that since it gets so cold in the desert, whenever nighttime comes, that the earth would just naturally heat up those copper tubes and then the pyramid itself would be warm, which is why there's chambers inside. And people would,
Why would the pyramids be warm though? What would they?
well, the heat from the copper pipes would transfer the heat to the pyramids and it would be insulated.
Okay.
So they could go inside whenever it was like nighttime and they could, you know,
So
not die.
I'm gonna take it a step further. I think they used it as a power source to light their cities. Free energy. I
Mm.
think it was free energy. I don't think they were just using. I don't think they were just using fire. So I specifically looked into this. A lot of old European homes and Roman Empire homes, there are burn marks on the walls from lamps, from fires being lit, from the
Oh, so
residue,
you're saying it's like the residue of the
the soot,
fuel
the
from the
soot.
whatever
Yeah,
the
whatever the soot is,
yeah, okay.
it leaves that black mark.
Yeah, yeah.
You can see it because in certain places where you go visit some of these ancient places, you'll see the black markings on the wall from it. Now, I looked into this. In Egypt, when you go inside of these places that they used to stay, no black marks on the wall, no handles for lamps or lanterns. That in itself is weird. There's no way you're telling me a complete civilization had developed a canal system to go to the bathroom in this day and period, right? And mind you, this some of this stuff is around the same time the medieval period was happening. You're telling me a group of people, kings and queens, they don't have a filtration system of toiletry. They're just dropping
Mm,
it down into their lakes. That's why a lot of the castles were built on waters. They would just poop and it would drop down the wall
mm,
and go into a little sewer. And they would have people come and the castles would pay the regular people to
scoop it out.
scoop the poop out and dissolve of it or use it for the crops or whatever the fuck they did with it.
Mhm.
But Egypt had a canal system and they also had a canal pit for the poop and they would burn it.
Mm,
So they had an actual irrigate. They had a full irrigation system. They used the Nile and the Mesopotamia to actually plant a lot of the waters that they had. Either way, they didn't have any fucking burn marks on the wall.
mhm.
I think they were lighting cities.
So where so are they using, like, electricity, or are they
I
using,
think they
like,
was.
some
I think it
other
was.
form of
I think they were doing exactly what you were saying. They was harnessing it because we use electricity and we use electricity for heat.
yeah.
I think they were using it for both. I think they were doing it for heat and for lights. I think they had lights.
Oh, so you're saying that, like, so if they were using the pyramids as a source of energy, wouldn't there be other pipes going off of it
That's what
underneath and also going into, like, old, well, now gone, like, cities or
that's what they're
towns?
checking now.
Oh, I see.
They don't know for sure. They're checking that now. I think those pyramids are so far away that they were using it for conductors. And underground, beneath those are pipelines that run into. I'll put money on this. Probably in another 5 years, they're going to come out and say there was an underground pipeline running into the city of Cairo and into these different places. I think they were conducting light. Now the other question is if this is the case and that actually did happen, how the fuck did they do it?
How'd they dig that deep?
How did they dig that deep? Now, I can come up with one or two guesses. The land mass level shifted.
Mhm,
Those sand mounds were probably a lot lower than what they are now. Over time, layers build,
mhm.
things get swallowed. Because I mean, if you look at the Sphinx, that's just like halfway.
A lot of it's eroded away.
It's eroded away and it's like covered.
Uh,
The feet itself are so massive that most of it is covered, right? Like what happened to those
Easter Island heads?
Yes. And then they realized that they were whole fucking bodies at the bottom. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I think land just grew over it. But I mean, if that's extremely brilliant. Now, the other part to that, if that is the case, they were using that as an energy source. How the fuck did they figure that out?
Yeah, to think that the energy from the earth could be used in a practical way, I think that is some information that I'm not really sure on how you'd even, with the limited amount of tools that you had, I I couldn't imagine sounding sane saying that out loud
Yeah.
in whatever time period that these were built. Like, that almost sounds crazy to think that the earth could generate whatever type of energy and you could harness it. Like, that to me sounds like some crazy person would say.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would imagine that there was still sand back then, but how how do you dig that far down with that much sand around without it collapsing in on itself. Like that to me is really crazy.
Yeah.
You'd have to either like I don't know. Like I think we talked about this whenever we were discussing the Iran bombing.
Yeah.
How they're practically in the same, I guess, environment. There's a lot of sand around them. So like, how do you create something that's deep in the ground with terrain that's very hard to control,
And to go unnoticed doing it.
and um, no other group of people or I guess maybe colony would see that and document it. Like
Yeah, they
they
know.
wouldn't want to like check it out, document it, and then just like return back.
Yeah.
Like
They know something that we don't know.
so, I mean, I'm not sure if like it was like such a big deal that this was being built that everybody kind of knew about it and it wasn't really relevant to write about or talk about, and it
Yeah.
kind of was just left to time to kind of just erode away. But I just think that a big hole in the ground in the middle of the desert is something that everybody would be kind of curious about.
Yeah.
And then constructing the copper pipes large enough to fit in the hole.
Like, how did you do that? Well, first of all, how did you even bend the copper pipes is my thing. How did you do that?
Mhm.
What did you do that with? And to wrap it around something that big, mind blowing. I do want to correct something. I did say, I didn't, I think I said something wrong, but I didn't mean it that way. I meant as, why didn't they copy their system? So the medieval period and the ancient Egyptian period were two historical time periods. I want to make that clear. I know I sound fucking retarded a little bit earlier. I didn't mean to say. I meant it like in my head. I meant it like, why didn't they copy the Egyptians? They had a lot of their scrolls and stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, even a time period that was around during the time was the Roman Empire. Why didn't the Roman Empire copy the canal system that Egypt had? Like, you know how they used to wipe their poop?
Mm.
They used to sit around in a fucking circle with like these little narrow water lanes, I guess you want to call them. They would sit down, they would squint down. I don't want to do it, but they would
Yeah.
squint down, right? And they would all be taking a poop together. But they would use these sticks with sponges at the end of them to wipe themselves after they were done. And they would put it in some type of like alcoholic acid or whatever they put it in to clean it. And the next person would come in and just use the same fucking stick. That's sick. That is some sick shit. Okay.
That's pretty gross.
All right. I see why a lot of the fucking Europeans they didn't make that. Because that's nasty. That is sick. I'm not using like Braden, I'm not using the sponge you use. I'm sorry.
Extremely unsanitary.
That is nasty.
Because like there was probably a lot. I mean, there was absolutely a lot more diseases back then too.
Yeah.
So like if you use it
You're done. You're
and
cooked.
feces is like the proving ground of disease. So using somebody else's on you is like transferring that disease. I mean, but back then they
You
didn't
need to
know
find
that.
that picture.
They didn't know that.
You got to put that picture up. You got to put that.
I'll have to see if I can find it.
How did the Romans clean their poop? They didn't have toilet paper, bro. Now this becomes an interesting. How did anyone do it back then? They didn't have any toilet paper.
I mean, like if whenever I was little, I'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna use a leaf. I'm gonna use like leaves or like grass. Like that was my first instinct as like a child. Like, oh, I'm
Can you
just
imagine
gonna.
grabbing a poison ivy?
I'm sure somebody's done that enough times to where they were like, all right, we need the stick. We need the stick
You need to
sponge.
stick a sponge. I'm getting tired of this shit. Every day I'm getting a rash.
I guess that would be better than getting poison ivy like down there. That would.
Yeah. Can you imagine if that like felt good to them though? The sponge. Oh yeah.
Why wouldn't you just have your own?
I don't know, man. I guess it was too much just to carry around your own
That is a weird thing to carry
poop
around
stick.
with you.
Yeah, carry around your own poop stick all day. That's nasty. That is sick, bro. Could you imagine just like, oh, what do you got today? A poop stick. You know what I mean? And carrying it around. You don't want to like carry it down here. You know, you get tired of carrying something, you throw it on your back. You whipping poop on your back. You this anyway, the system the system that they developed was like just pretty immense. It was pretty astonishing. Now I can understand why some people would look at this and say, well, aliens did it. Like they constructed it in a way where it pointed to the major stars. That is just
Yeah.
that's brilliance
Mhm.
in itself. So I can see, these motherfuckers did.
Yeah. 'Cause it's just
Aliens,
so precise that, like, it almost seems inhuman.
and it's like, come on, man. Like, give credit where credit is due. Like, no one talks shit on your fucking marble builds. Your fantastic art. You know what I mean? Like, no one says the fucking Coliseum was built by
I mean, people
JoJo the alien. Like,
people were, like, taking Instagram reels of themselves, like, drinking, and then these people were, like,
yeah.
constructing mega monoliths that point towards, like, certain stars
Yeah, it's
and
just like, come on, man. It like I feel like the human people, no matter what race you are, I don't really care what you are. They're like Asian, like Chinese, Asian culture, some of the stuff that they created back then.
especially the Chinese. The Chinese created some of the largest structures ever.
That's what I'm saying. You're talking about, bro, like I was having this conversation with someone not too long. I don't know if I said it on the pod or not. The Great Wall of China was being built before the Bible.
Mhm.
Can we talk about like what are we talking about? You know what I mean? And then you're talking about the structures being so fantastically made that the sculptures were so precise. How did you cut this brick to make it seem like this? I just feel like they had access to different type of technology that we're just not aware of today. Or if we are, the government is keeping it completely to themselves and using it for military purposes.
Mm.
Right? Because like I'll give you a prime example. Flat screens have been around since the 60s. 50s actually. Let's take it back. But you're telling me the first flat screen that you got was a big ass TV that you needed 5 people to move. And then 2000 hit it all of a sudden, oh, flat screens. We're gonna condense it. You're full of shit, bro. This shit's been around for a while. Most of the stuff that we have has been around for a while. Cell phones have been around prior to them hitting the normal market.
Mhm.
Military used them all the time. The fuck was walkie talkies? They need, if you can make a walkie talkie and talk to someone from a distance, you can make a cell phone. It was just given to the public at a specific time.
I just think it's gotten to the point where it's so refined that it's easily accessible.
Yes.
So, like, there are a lot of things that are just generally not accessible because they're not refined.
Yeah.
Like the machines we used at ECL, no regular person could buy that machine and use it
Right.
and know how to use it.
Or know how to. Yeah.
So I would imagine like that type of instrumentation will become available more readily to the public as time goes on because it becomes more streamlined and refined to a point where you don't have to know all of the ins and outs of chemistry or even like uh, scientific operations to
Yeah.
actually operate the machine. Like there will be a point where that stuff becomes accessible, just like cell phones did, just like cars did, just like,
Yeah.
a lot of things that over time eventually do.
Yeah. I mean that would be the main point, right? Like these time periods, the structures, they were so massive. I can see why a lot of these kings and queens and pharaohs or whatever were looked at like deities because they just had information that most people just didn't have. And that makes you a dangerous person if you know something,
Mm.
you know. Like I always told myself, if I ever go back in time, there's 3 things I'm going back with. 4 things. I'm going back in time with the cell phone. I don't care if I don't have any service or not. I'm going back with a cell phone. Um, I'm going back with contact lenses to change my eye color, and I'm also going back with my one thought was a weapon,
I remember you saying that.
but I think I would switch that up and I would rather have a type of poison and a laser pointer.
Hmm. A late. Uh,
Like a laser
why?
pointer.
Why a laser pointer?
Because I would use the poison to touch them first and then shine the laser on them and then stop and watch them drop and be like, yep, scare everybody. You fuck with me, I'll put this laser on you. They'll be, oh my, take over, bro. It's over. I'm taking over. And I would go back with changing the eye color. I would tell them that I was upset or something, or I'll go into my God form.
And you just put your
Put the
contact
contacts in.
lenses and you turn around and you have your laser pointer fingers.
Laser pointer. Like, what the fuck is going on? Listen, I'm not a serious person. Do not take me serious on any of this that I'm saying, but that would be hilarious. But yeah, what time? Okay. Now this is a good question. Now, even though I would want to see all of this, but I would have to be very, very particular at what time, when time I'll go
Yeah.
back in history. I would go back to the medieval period, and I would go back to Jesus's period. I would just want to go back to see it, just to see what he did.
So if you went back in time, would times would everything that had currently happened up to this point in history still happen, or would this be a completely different timeline? So, like for example, you wanted to go back and see Jesus. How would you know where he is? The only way you know where he is if you read the Bible and said he was in Nazareth, and you'd go to Nazareth. But that would be under the assumption that history would have to repeat itself in the same way that we read about it in the future. So would this be the same past, or would this be a completely different past?
Mm.
If that
Well,
makes any sense, because like
it does. So
you'd have to you'd have to go back and assume that everything would play out the same way it had originally. Otherwise,
I wouldn't interfere. If I went back to that time period, I wouldn't interfere with anything. I would just watch.
so
Even though I would be able to change it, I wouldn't want to.
so everything does happen the same way
It
it
happened the
always
same
has
way.
happened.
I
Okay.
just can't. I just don't want any interference. I think when interference happens, that's when you start fucking shit up.
Well, I think the interference is more or less like the unintentional interference.
Yeah.
Like we go back in time now, we could potentially give somebody like a terrible bacterial disease that
Yeah.
kills off half a population. And that was unintentional, right?
Or what if me going back in time was me fucking shit up to what's written now?
So
Does that
you were
make
the
sense?
cause of everything that
I was the
happened
cause.
afterwards.
Like say for example, Jesus wasn't supposed to get crucified.
And you went
And I
back in
went
time
back in time
and you stepped on like a frog
and I fucked it up.
and
And I told Judas by accident, like, yeah, that man, he gets crucified. Da, da, da. Judas was like, oh shit. I was like, oh shit, I'm the reason. I'm the reason he's dead. Oh fuck. Right. But that's what I don't know. That time. I mean, I would just want to see beautiful structures. I would want to know how they did it. I would definitely go back to the Egyptian period and learn how they did that. I would want to go back to the medieval period just to see, like, damn, this shit was really that nasty.
you'd probably also have to learn their language, or otherwise you wouldn't know where to go or who to speak to.
Wait. In the medieval period, right? They spoke English, right?
Not in Egypt.
Oh, in Egypt, I wouldn't know shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did.
I'd be
I
lost.
mean, they did speak English, but it wasn't English like we speak today.
No, yeah,
It was
they
like,
spoke Arabic and Hebrew, didn't they?
oh, are you talking about Egyptians?
Egyptians, yeah, they spoke like
Yeah, I think it was main. I thought it was mostly like Arabic.
It's like Arabic. What's Is Egyptian Arabic?
No, I think they're different.
Different languages?
I believe they're different. I don't think. No, I don't. I don't think
Hebrew's a
there's
different language though.
Hebrews. Yeah,
So they spoke like okay. I mean Hebrew's still an Arabic.
but even then, like the way that every language is spoken today is nothing like the language as
No,
it was spoken.
medieval period
So
spoke Old English. I wouldn't understand any of that.
even if we do understand that they're speaking English, we wouldn't know like how they are speaking it.
Yeah,
Almost like how we have slang today. If you were to bring somebody from back then to now, they wouldn't understand the slang that we have now.
right.
So I don't know how going back in time, maybe having a translator like on your phone,
Oh,
like maybe that would be.
but you wouldn't be able to see it. It's no fucking service.
Well, you can download the database. Like that's not something that you'd have to use like internet for. There are offline translators.
Is there really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. So like a lot of, well, not a lot, but there are um like there are some databases you can download that have like the transcription of like words.
Yeah.
And if you typed in a word, you wouldn't need the internet to actually use it.
Mm.
So especially now, like there's a lot of things you can download now and have offline and you can still use.
I'll be screwed in the first 2 days anyway.
You need a charger too, because the
I wouldn't be able
charger,
to charge it.
yeah,
There's no outlets.
bring a solar charger with you.
Yeah.
But you'd probably have to wait a little while for it to actually like charge the whole way. And you'd have to worry about someone stealing it from you or breaking
There's
it.
so much to think about when time traveling. I wouldn't even. I mean, I'm saying that I would want to. I probably wouldn't even want to do it.
If I could go back and do it without any repercussions, like of dying or like causing any difference in like the timeline, I'd probably do it. But I don't know what time period I'd want to go back to. Because if you go back too far, you just immediately die because you wouldn't be able to breathe. But if you don't go back far enough, then it's like, what's the point of going back?
I didn't even think about the oxygen level.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Because like you got to think about like the foods that are growing at that time. Like, are they edible?
Can you eat it? Can
Can
you
we eat
digest it?
them?
Yeah.
Like, can we drink the water? Are there bacteria? Is
That can kill
there
me. Yeah.
anything in the water that
Because my digestive system wouldn't be set up for anything that I would intake there.
So like how would you go about?
Yeah, man. That's okay. Well, let's make it more realistic. I would jump back into the time period where I was able to buy Apple stock. Bam, done. Here we are. That's what I would do. Because it's not that long ago. Is that like 60 years?
I think Apple was created in like the 70s. So yeah, that's about
Yeah, about 60 years. 70 years. What is it?
50.
2025?
It's about
About 50
55
years.
years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not too bad. I would love to see this shit though, man. But that, like, you just gave me a whole bunch to think about. I didn't even think about the oxygen, the food, the water. I wouldn't survive too long.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Damn.
Like if I would go if like they brought me back like the same day. Like if I could have 24 hours, that. So if I got to go back, I'd like to go back a few times. So like instead of it being like there for a week, I'd like to go to different time periods for like maybe like a day. So like spend a day in this time period, spend a day in this time period, spend a day in that time period. That way you don't have to worry about starving to death, dying of thirst, or having to ingest something or digest something that will kill you. You could document enough to where you could probably get a good grasp of what's going on.
Yeah, that's.
But
There's so many different time periods that I think we just don't speak about.
I just think it's because the documentation is just not there.
Yeah. But like we're like during like the old really
Mhm.
during like the old kingdom, the middle kingdom and the new kingdom, like where was Egypt? Like after Egypt fell, like what happened? I don't think that gets talked about much because they were around for thousands and thousands of years. Like we understand what happened with the Roman Empire, right? Like they slowly fell and then crumbled and moved like to different parts of the world that their settlements just kind of conquered those areas. Their kingdom, they spread their kingdom out too far.
Mhm.
And we understand like those other settlers made their homes, they became king and queens and ruled the areas, blah blah blah. But it's like you don't hear anything. It's like Egypt was just, it was like bam, it was just there. Like Pharaoh's seat was just, we're not here anymore. And the
Mhm.
people were like, oh fuck it.
I guess maybe it's just because it's not interesting. Like, I mean,
I'm gonna look into that. I actually want to know about that.
because like you said, it was probably like a slow fall over time, and it probably wasn't interesting enough to document. Like, for example, whenever like the New World Order happens, whenever America is no longer number one and another country kind of comes in and takes over, like that is a gradual change in the changing of the world. So I can only imagine that Egypt was pretty much the same way. It's probably just a gradual change that over time was accepted more and more that they were no longer going to be
Mm,
uh, super. I wouldn't say they
dominant,
were a
yeah.
superpower, but like big enough to really worry about documenting.
That makes sense. I mean, either way, I just do not. I think credit needs to go where credit is due. The Egyptian people were extremely brilliant. I'm going to give them their credit until we have full blown proof that fucking aliens built that shit. I don't want to hear anything about no fucking aliens.
Yeah, I think we're kind of at the age now where if we don't catch an alien or a ghost on camera, probably.
I mean, I believe they're here. I believe they exist. I believe aliens are real. Like I believe I do believe there are extraterrestrials.
But
I
like in what way? Like
like I think there are.
define like what you mean by like extraterrestrial, because that can mean like an amoeba on like the moon.
So I do think there are other living organisms in other pockets of the universe and space. I think for us to have an understanding of the universe that we live in and that there are other galaxies that we can see with the Hubble telescope, other places, and see that there are places that have water. There's some type of life out there. I don't really care if people don't believe that or not. I think it's extremely selfish to believe that we are the only existence in life, right? I think that's just a selfish mentality to have. And if we are the only existence in life, that's scary
Hmm.
because all this is bullshit. Going to work, paying bills on a planet that I shouldn't be paying anything on. All this fucking food should be free. Apples grow for free, strawberries, grapes, water, all comes free, all from trees, all for something that we plant. I live on an earth with a concept of people that put them own selves in debt on purpose. This is stupid. This is stupid shit. We created a debt system
That preys on people
that
to keep them
preys
in
on
debt.
people to keep them in a position that they're in. And then not even that, we created a debt system. We created a debt system to put us in debt with the food that we're calling not enough to feed everybody. This is fucking this is mad. Like this is mad. But that's I don't want to get on I don't want to get on that topic. That the point of this is that the people of the Egyptian culture were pretty amazing. The fact that their buildings and everything are still astonishing to this day is beauty in itself. I don't I don't think there's any other civilization that's like this astonishing. Was there?
The Mayans,
The Mayans were. Where were they?
I thought they were. They were pretty much building the same type of structures,
Okay.
and they were pretty into. They were pretty intuitive with some of their, I guess, like quality of life, um, everyday tools. Like I think that there was It was either there's one item that they can't quite figure out what was used for, but everybody had one. It was like a dodecahedron with like little balls on each of the points, and everybody had one. It was some sort of tool, and
Transporter.
yeah, it's probably going to a different planet.
Yep. Transporter going different places.
Uh, and for some reason, they can't figure out why people were carrying it or why it was even designed in the first place. But clearly, like I feel like there were like I'm not entirely sure if that was related to the Mayans though. I could be wrong about that. Um, but yeah, the Mayans were generally constructing like essentially the same structures, just out of a different material.
Yeah.
Um, and they were around for a really long time too. Really long time.
I was talking to Madison the other night, and I was like, I think we're the aliens of the planet
Mhm.
because we don't make sense being here. Like some of it doesn't make sense, right? Like the sun outside that cooks our skin. The sun doesn't cook any other animal's skin except for us. There's no other creature on this planet that the sun kills or gives cancer to except for us. That's facts. There's no matter how
Mhm.
hot it is or how cold it is, there's no other animal.
What do you think that's just because of evolution? Like
I don't know.
they kind of the ones that did kind of get those like cancers from too much UV exposure died off, and then whatever was left evolved into something that was able to maintain like that.
That's a possibility.
Was that Darwinism
Yeah, kills itself off.
or
The
survival of the
survival of the
fittest?
fittest.
Uh, Natural selection. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is that is that only a is that convenient to bring up because maybe there were things that did have the same type of downfall that we have whenever it comes to UV exposure that they just died off.
Well, wouldn't you think we would have been died off by now?
I also well if we weren't as intelligent as we are, I think we would have, but I just don't think any other animal or species is as intelligent to recognize that
What about dolphins?
they don't live on land. But yeah, they are pretty.
You know it's illegal to communicate with them. Like it's against the law.
What do you mean by like communicate?
Like
Like interact with
you're
them?
not allowed to interact with them at all, unless it's deemed by like a parker.
No, I mean I didn't know that.
Like it's literally a felony
Uh,
because so a lot of people think it's because dolphins they give off certain radars and we would learn things that we're not supposed to know. No, that's not. Like I looked into it. Like I actually thought I'm like, damn, it's fucking illegal to talk to dolphins. But it's more so because they're highly um sensible. Like they're extremely influenced. Like they're easily influenced,
mhm,
and it would mess up their habitat if they interact with humans. They
mm,
wouldn't want to go back, and it would mess up their ecosystem.
mm,
They're too susceptible to like things around them, and they're easily influenced. So there's like you got to leave them alone. You can't really mess with them.
mm.
But I thought that was pretty interesting. But it's like I don't know. I like the reason I thought like we don't belong here, or maybe we're the aliens. We're from somewhere else, or we originated from somewhere else. It's because like I feel like all these animals can talk to each other. I feel like all these bears, lions, tigers, giraffes. I feel like all these bugs and insects. I feel like they can all speak to each other. We're the only ones that can't talk to them. I feel like every other creature communicates in some way, shape, or form with each other, and they have a vast understanding of that. We're the only ones that we only communicate with us, except chimpanzees and gorillas. They can do sign language now. They're learning to do they can speak if they're taught how to sign. But like you can't. teach a deer how to.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a deer on his back leg? It was like this.
Yeah, that I
It fall, it fall down, and you're like, wait, do it again. Just, that shit would be out there in the middle of the street. Somebody hits the deer. Oh, oh, South Park. Y'all need to do an episode about that. That's hilarious. You like what? Hey, Brady be like, I didn't catch that. Do it one more time. This motherfucker can't read.
uh,
All right. Well, that's all we have for today. Yeah, look into it, man. The pyramids, they're still investigating right now. They're trying to figure out what those were used for. And one of the points that I need to make is they probably said that they were built to hold up the structure because it's so heavy that if they didn't build an actual foundation, it would have sunk into the ground.
hmm.
And, after centuries, they feel like it would have sunk so far down that we would have never known they were there. So they think it's under all of these major structures. It's not just under. Oh, I didn't even tell you what pyramid it was under. Jesus Christ.
Well, like,
It was under the Khafre pyramid.
hmm. So like if they were smart enough to know that if they didn't have a foundation that it would sink, why didn't they just build a foundation so it wouldn't sink?
They did build a foundation, so it didn't sink. That's what the foundation is. But we were just assuming what else it was used for. They probably did it both at the same time. I think they built the foundation first and then built the pyramids on top of that. Like, I don't think the pyramids came first and then they built the foundation. I think they built the foundation. They knew they had a plan. Like, it was orchestrated out. Like, this is what we want to build and this is what we need. I think they built those pillars first. Built whatever chambers that they needed down in bottom, whatever the fuck else is down there. Because they said like at the bottom of that are like chambers of whatever they used them for. So I think they had that already. And then at the top of it, they built the pyramids.
Okay, I must have misunderstood then because I thought you were saying like they built the copper pipes with the coils instead of building a foundation because they
No, no,
didn't
no.
think to build a foundation because they thought it would sink. But
Oh no, I think they did it the other way around.
so you're saying that they built the
Yeah, I think
foundation
they already knew.
and then they built the copper pipes
Yeah.
and then they built the pyramids.
I think they knew they were building on sand and a structure that big and that heavy and how long it was going to take for them to build. I think they knew like, oh, this is going to sink over time. We need to build something that's not going to let it sink. But I mean, I mean, it's massive to even dig that far down.
Yeah, because like I'd imagine like at some point it is no longer sand; it is probably rock or
Yeah,
dirt or some sort of like mineral
at some
that
point. Yeah.
is strong enough to support the sand. Like it can't just all be sand.
I wonder how much oil they hit, man.
Oh, they probably like dug through it like pockets of oil and
They
they just didn't
had to
realize what
have.
they had.
They had to have.
Or maybe they did know what they had and they
They just
used
said,
it
well, they didn't use it. They just like, fuck, we don't need. What do you need this for?
or sold it as like a something to somebody else.
Maybe. I feel like they hit that shit all the time and just didn't. We don't know. We don't use this.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know. That kind of seems like if they're smart enough to build those structures and to maintain them, they'd have to be smart enough to know how to utilize the
Oil.
resources around their habitat.
Well, they did use oil, but they didn't use it for how we use it.
Yeah, but like whenever they hit it, they'd probably be like, "Oh, we need to keep
We need to
this, and we
keep
need to
this.
make sure that we
Yeah,
use it." Because
yeah,
like
yeah,
I feel like back then everything was a resource. It
yeah.
wasn't like
Oh yeah, we're not going to
we're
use
not going to
this.
use it.
Right. Yeah.
So I'd imagine that they'd be if they're smart enough to build those structures and make them last as long as they did, they'd had to have known what oil was, and not particularly in the same way that we do, but utilize it in a way that wasn't wasteful. Like they just didn't not use it.
Yeah, they probably struck so much of that shit.
Yeah, they probably did.
All right. Well, this was fun. We will keep you updated if more information comes out about these pyramids and about these structures. And I'm going to try to go find a deer that does sign language. Deuces.